We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this rebel outpost college football YouTube channel with a donation. Hit the $sign where you all make a comment and I'll get you a super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody, and I mean everybody, even the 17 evil Big Ten schools out there, as we are going to do the way too early Big Ten predictions. So I am going to be battling the other 17 fan bases today, because they're not going to be, well, some of them are going to be happy. Most of them are going to be unhappy with my way too early predictions. So buckle up, brace for impact. Everybody is welcome into the studio. Even those Buckeyes, even those Wolverines, even those Spartans, even those evil Badgers, even those Hawkeyes. Everybody is welcome into the studio that sits on the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend. To become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls later in the show. We've got another stacked show Wednesday, March 26th. Holy smokes. we are marching towards that April 7th date. That April 7th date. The House versus NCAA, is the settlement going to be approved? And then we've got a whole other things just percolating out there. Percolating under the ground. Well, let's start with this. I mean, we've got Deion Sanders and Fran Brown. Brown and Deion Sanders, according to Pete Knuckles, on 3 have been in contact and are waiting on a decision from the NCAA. They should be getting back to us by the end of the week. Will Colorado and Syracuse be able to play a spring game in Boulder in April? And if the NCAA gets its approval, and that decision process is going to be moving out of the NCAA at some point. If this happens, we are going to see more of this, and I love it. I love it as a college football sicko. As a college football sicko, I would, you know, if this gets approved, we're going to be doing a watch party on this. Absolutely. We're going to break it all down. Now, I'm not going to go crazy like I did last year. We did a watch party. I am a moron. We did a watch party of a spring. We always do a watch party of spring football every single year. We've done USC, we've done Colorado, and last year we did North Carolina State. I fell in love with the Wolfpack when I watched them. I absolutely fell in love with them. And then I predict them to win the ACC championship, and everything went pear-shaped after that. I promise you, whatever spring football watch party game we do this year, and it might be Colorado versus Syracuse, and I hope it is. I'm not going to lose myself. I'm going to be mature like you all are. I'm going to be even. I'm not going to fly off the handle. I'm not going to say that true freshman quarterback is going to be a superstar in year one. I'm not going to go crazy. I promise you. This isn't Greg the Loser, not Greg the Cold anymore. It's Greg the Gold. And I'll prove it to you in whatever spring watch party game that we do. So we're waiting on that decision. By the end of the week, Fran Brown and Deion Sanders, it's Wednesday already. By the end of the week, they should know if they are able to do the spring football game playing against each other in April. We're waiting on other decisions out there. We're waiting on the Big 12, Brett Yormark. Are they going to be able to bring in that private capital deal? Is it going to be Redbird Capital? Right? We're waiting on that decision. Remember, they've supposedly all the final bids are in. Redbird Capital supposedly is the leader. One of those options could be no, we're just not going to do it. Holy smokes. If that happens, if that deal goes through on a conference level type of deal, woo! I mean, that's going to be fascinating to break it down, to get everybody's opinions across the PATC family and the execution of the plan and what it all, I mean, it is going to be, and it's going to be fascinating if it's a no. If it's a no, why did it become a no? Why couldn't Brett Yormark punch it in from the 5-yard line? It's going to be fascinating story either way, and I cannot wait for that decision to come down. And we've got other stuff just percolating out there. We've got the college football playoff format for 2026 and beyond. They're going to be meeting in early April, the first week of April. the Big Ten wants that 4 automatic qualifiers. And of course, we got this next wave of realignment going to be percolating every month until the next wave begins and concludes. There's another story out there. Look, Florida State University, once again, we are thrilled to announce that Florida State University is taking healthcare in Northwest Florida to the next level. Plans are underway to build a pioneering acute care hospital in Panama City Beach under the Florida State's health brand. This state-of-the-art medical facility will serve the residents of Bay and Walton counties. This is a huge step toward improving access and innovation in health and healthcare for our community. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I am always honest with you. That's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. If you're, I'm just going to tell it from a Minnesota perspective. If you're trying to, the last 2 days of information, of news, of what Florida State University is building and what it's trying to get involved with Tallahassee Medical Hospital, those are things that would move Minnesota into the S column. I'm just putting that out there. Now, it doesn't change the information that I have received, and I have been honest, and I'm okay with taking all the shots. Throw it at me. Throw it at me. I still believe and it's like real strong opinion based on real strong information over many, many months and many different multiple people, that it is North Carolina and Virginia are the biggest dominoes that need to fall before we get to the Florida State, the Clemson. And I got more information on that today. If you looked at the title of the screen, North Carolina, Virginia joined at the hip. More information today. So, anyways, good news for Florida State once again. They're doing the work. They're not going to give up. The doors are not shut on any possibility, except they're not the top dominoes that need to fall first. In my strongly held opinion, based on information. And basically, most people disagree with me, and that is fine. Let me have it. But before I go on with other, and I see some very generous donations. Thank you so much. I'll get to them right now. Thank you so much, Expedition Greg. Thank you for that membership. Thank you, Mick Stevens. Thank you, Bill G. I'll get to that in a second. There's a couple things I want to make sure. I want to lay down the ground rules here, because we're going to go through something here dramatic in the next 2 years. And we've been through this together with Colorado in the Holy Smokes Theater, with Washington and Oregon. And before I did this YouTube channel, I went through it alone. I did not have all your friendships to lean on when we broke the USC story. I want to make a couple things clear. Number one, Greg Pflugar, as it said in the Los Angeles article, I am a nobody. Number one, I am an absolute nobody. The fat guy from Minnesota is a nobody. Number two, I'm not infallible. Number three, I'm okay with people disagreeing with me. My goodness, we would not have a YouTube channel. We would not have all this fun if everybody agreed with me. That is absolutely ridiculous. I've taken phone calls. I put up your comments. I love it when people disagree with me. Number 4 and number 5 are the most important parts of this list. I just want to go through this real quick. Number 4. I don't know how I could be any more transparent. I'm getting once again dragged over the coals on a couple of items. I am unbelievably transparent. I do not, I understand. Look, the information that I receive are from people, most of the information that I receive are from people that I've known for over a decade. Some of them 2 decades. The information I receive from the chatter behind the curtain, those relationships have been built over the last 5 years. BTM and his associates, a couple of those relationships have been lifelong. I know about the threat of people feeding me information, trying to lead me in a certain way. I am their messenger. I'm trying to push an agenda because people are feeding me this. My eyes are wide open to that reality. I even talked about it on at that time it was known as Twitter, when I was giving everybody the information of USC, in which some of you followed, a lot of people you didn't know who I was. But I even talked about it then. I said, look, this is real. It's happening. Even though it's coming from a certain perspective, it's happening. But I understand, and then in the Los Angeles Times article, I said it in the Los Angeles Times article. I said, there is an agenda. A lot of times there's an agenda to the information that is given to me. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm infallible. I'm a nobody. But I know, okay? I don't need to be told over and over and over again, watch yourself, Greg. You're being bamboozled, Greg. I know who I am speaking to. I also know their track record. And I've been blessed and fortunate to have the track record because they have had an unbelievable track record. So, again, I understand, look, people are coming after me left and right because I don't quite match up with what other people are saying. But it ain't because of some agenda, okay? And the last part, and then we're going to get into the Stack Show because we're going to have a lot of fun and some great information. The last part is I am very humbled that anybody would want to watch the fat guy from Minnesota. I'm very humbled that we have this YouTube channel. I'm a very busy man, very busy person, just like all of you. And for us to come together for a couple hours and whenever you got an opportunity to listen to our show, I'm very humbled and thankful. I am thankful for the suggestions that people give me. I am very thankful, and you all know this, the people who DM me, the stories and their opinions. I am so very thankful of all of it. But I'm just going to lay down this ground rule right now. I'm thankful for all of it. I truly am. But because of I resist. I don't know how to say this. I have got to call the shots on what we cover. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand there has been some people lately who have been very upset with me because I have gone in this direction or I've gone in this direction. I had a person really upset with me because I did a Big 12 way too early predictions. And I'm going to do a Big 10 way too early. I mean, it's like people, I get it. You are heavily invested in this show. And I'm so thankful for that. But I only can have one producer. Like, there's people coming at me saying, you shouldn't be doing this, Greg. You shouldn't be doing that, Greg. You shouldn't even be talking about that school, Greg. You shouldn't, it's like, Greg, you shouldn't be talking about so-and-so on your X account. My X account is not verified. It's not monetized. It's just me giving my thoughts. On this YouTube channel, it's me giving you information that has been given to me by unbelievably credible people. It's this opportunity for me and for you to talk college football. And I am so thankful for the suggestions. But I've had people truly angry with me on what am I choosing to talk about. And that really gets me because we've got a stack show today. We've got stack shows every day because I cover everything in college football. I can't get to it all. I can't. And I know some of you are offended. I mean, I had one person really, really, really offended. Truly offended. To the point where the person left the PATC family because when I was going down a list of that, we did a live show recently and I went down an evaluation list of what these group of people, they put a number on the valuation of the top schools, the top 75 schools. It was an article written a couple months ago, but I brought it up again because I was talking about something else. I read through a list and I happened to mention a university valuation that was in the top 40, a school in the state of Texas. And this person got so upset with me that I even read the name of the school off because I was supposedly giving that school too much shine. That is what I'm dealing with here. I love that you all are joining us again. I want you to disagree with me, but I'm getting a lot of heat on what I'm selecting to do. And my goodness. So please, give me a little space. Give me a little grace. There's a lot of things to cover. Disagree with me on what I'm saying. But people are really uptight that I'm not talking about, their starting quarterback or their left tackle or whatever. I mean, there's so much to talk about. I cannot possibly get through it all. Okay, I'm done. I'm done with that. I just had to make sure I said that today. Expedition Greg, go Buckeyes. Always good to see you, Godfather. Thank you, Expedition Greg. 16th month. Holy smokes. 16th month. You are officially knighted cloak and dagger. Once again, Expedition Greg, thank you so much for your friendship, all your help. Thank you for your generosity as well. Bill G, my goodness, does it again. 5 gifted memberships. Nick M, Sergeant Pickles, Tom Watson, Skaven, yes, Eric Phipps. All of you are knighted officially once again. Cloak and Dagger. Go to our library of shows and check out the early P Cloak and Dagger episodes for members only. And please say thank you to Bill G when you have an opportunity. When you have an opportunity, please say thank you. Bill G does this consistently. He has helped his program so very much. Thank you, Bill G. I do appreciate it. Mick Stevens, TCU Horned Frog, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, Mick, once again for all your help, your donations, helping us keep the lights on. Very humble. Thank you, Mick Stevens. Mr. Horned Frog, Mick Stevens. let me go through a roll call real quick. But before I do that, I mean, we've got a stacked show. We're going to just touch a little bit on the Ross Dellinger article about the complications of Rev Share when it comes to the Power Four conferences, when it comes to, the college football programs. They might, look, can an Alabama spend the same amount of money as St. John's in men's college basketball under the Rev Share plan? Probably not. Probably not until it changes, right? Because the Power Four is going to change it all up again. But anyways, we're going to go just a little bit into that because we talked about that yesterday. The Greg Schiano article, Football Scoops. If you missed it, go watch it yesterday. But again, after the House versus NCAA settlement becomes approved, the most impactful part of that will be the Deloitte clearinghouse and how tight or how loose does that clearinghouse operate when it comes to the submitted NIL deals. I mean, that is enormous. The impact on that, and we don't know what it is. We don't know if these NIL deals are going to be driven through. We don't know if how easy it is going to be to put through a $1.5 million name, image, and likeness deal. Because the Deloitte, this algorithm, this AI, artificial intelligence, whatever they're going to use, how tight is it going to be? What is the filters on it? That is the story. And the tighter it is, the better off Big East basketball is going to be, right? The tighter it is, the better off the non-Power Four hockey programs. Go right down the sports, all the sports. If you're not in the Power Four where you have to support and invest majority, 75, 80% of the Rev Share money to your football program, if you're outside the Power Four, and if that Deloitte clearinghouse is tight, the better off you are. The more loose it is, the better off the Power Four conference programs are. We talked about it yesterday, so we're just going to glance over it just a little bit today. A lot of other YouTube channels are going to cover it big time today, and they should. But for us, we already sort of covered it yesterday. We gave you the peak. And now a big article came out today, and we're just going to touch on that. I'm going to quickly go through Tom Fornelli, CBS Sports, his win totals in the Big Ten. And Big Ten people in the chat room, oh boy, some of you are going to get real upset with Tom Fornelli. But here is the crazy thing about it. When I read this article, when I read Tom Fornelli's analysis of the Big Ten football teams' win totals as he makes his predictions over and under on the Vegas number, I agreed with Tom. My way too early predictions on the Big Ten standings almost basically match what Tom Fornelli thinks. So I don't know if that means that Tom Fornelli has catch Greg the Cooler's cold, or if this is going to be my year. But anyways, either way. So we're going to go through Tom Fornelli, and then I'm going to go through my way too early Big Ten order of finish predictions. And then we're going to talk about Virginia. I have discussed it over and over again with a whole lot of people for many months. I have said over and over again that North Carolina is the biggest domino piece. Not the biggest football brand, not the most valuable brand. Florida State and Clemson they're going to get to where they need to get to, either in the SEC or the Big Ten or some other formation of some other conference in the future, they are too valuable not to get where they need to get to. I have said that a million times. But I've also been honest, and I've said that they're not the top domino piece. North Carolina is. And when I've discussed about, every time I talk about North Carolina, I say North Carolina +1, North Carolina and their connective tissue, North Carolina and the possibility of North Carolina Duke, North Carolina State, North Carolina Virginia. Every time we talk about North Carolina, we don't really cement in who would be their partner in the top domino piece. I've got some information today on that, on Virginia. And it's coming straight out of Chapel Hill. So we are going to talk about that as well. So after this live show, my lingo, and when I discuss North Carolina being the top domino, the lingo that I choose to use is going to be different than what I've done in the past. Okay, let's get to it. Let's do a roll call real quick. I am still missing some amazing super chats. Kenneth Maynard, UNC and UVA are sister institutions in the thick of thieves. It's the South oldest rivalry, played since 1892. Deep historical and institutional ties. Well, Kenneth Maynard just said it better than I could ever say it. They are sister institutions, and recently, and I mean real recently, we have received some further information that I cannot wait to get to. We're going to get at the back end of the monologue. We are going to be changing our lingo when we talk about North Carolina. They're still the top domino, but we have been told something, and we're going to go with it. And again, we're not hedging here. We're not hedging. This is another show where we're going to give it to you the way it has been presented to us, with our eyes wide open here at PATC. And you have the right to disagree, and you can let me have it. But we're not going to hedge. We're going to be very clear in what we are saying. We're going to be very clear. Kenneth Maynard, I think that is an incredibly accurate super chat. Thank you for your support. I do very much appreciate it. Leslie A. Hill, so is there any substance to the old story that the Big Ten yet seeks a Texas member? Great. Thank you for the super chat, Leslie. I appreciate it. Would the Big Ten like to get into the state of Texas? Of course, obviously, for many, many reasons. Many reasons. The quality of the student athletes, the quality of the students, the big money, the big markets, the recruiting, multiple sports recruiting, and the fine institutions in the state of Texas. Yes. Now, again, I'm going to be straight and honest. No hedging. The Big Ten going into the state of Texas is not their first domino, second domino, third domino in this next realignment wave. But it's okay if you disagree with me, and you can let me have it in the chat room or with the phone call. But everything that I have been told, the Big Ten is they've got their targets. They got to wait to see what happens with their top targets, and then their secondary targets and their third targets. But I don't believe the state of Texas is part of the Big Ten's plan here in the next realignment wave. I'm just giving it to you straight. In the future, yes, quite possible, but not in this next wave that's going to be lasting 2 to 4 or 5 years. But again, you can disagree. But I do appreciate the super chat. I do appreciate the super chat so very much. Maria Hernandez Garcia, Rojas, Vargas, Flugar, the moderator. Gracias for all your support. Maria is back in town. She is ruling with an iron fist. Thank you for the super chats. Let me do a quick roll call, man. We have got a stacked show. We got to get to it. The Walking Geek, Heelan, Florida, Caleb Ramirez, Eric Phipps, Kenneth Stromness, The Big Lubbock, Breeze Frey, Bill G, Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina. Long live the South's oldest rivalry. Nick Kelsel, Skaven, yes, yes. Humble, Bumble, Duck, AMAC is in the house. CFB Plus is here. Steel Austin, Mr. Ute, Azon the Kid, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk. Let's fix this thing. As a Virginia fan, I really freaking hope so. Nice to see you in the house. Let's fix this. Laura Weiss, the Red Raider, is in the house. The Observer, Penn State, we are. Tyler Brown, Minnesota #1. Do I have the Gophers finishing #1 in my way too early predictions that we're going to do today? Do I? No, I don't. No, I don't. I got some good news for the Gopher fans. I got some not so good news for the Gopher fans. Some spring football reports. The steam is coming out of Minneapolis. I've got some good news. And I got some not so good, scary news. So, again, and this is another example. I got some not so good news for the Gophers. And this is another example of like, Greg, you do this for, all you do is you go for clicks. Are you kidding me? I give so much bad news on this YouTube channel. I mean, I've got people yelling at me constantly. I don't raise up. I'm not. It's unbelievable. Like, if I just did this show to get as many clicks as possible, I would have, just a recent example, I would have followed up that war chant report, and I would have said, I agreed, I heard the same thing. Florida State and Clemson, they're knocking on the door. They're going to be the first ones out. But no, I had to go the opposite way because of all the information that I'm not getting, I don't run this show for clicks, obviously. I mean, I'm Dr. No. Most of the time I'm Dr. No. But when I'm Dr. Yes, because I've been Dr. No for weeks and months, it means something. I'm not here doing the pom-poms, except for my beloved Golden Gophers. But I got some good news, bad news. Good news, bad news for the Gophers. Azon the Kid is in the house. Dave B. Nathan Campbell. Larry Andrick, I'm here. Love your show. I love you, Larry. Thank you, Mr. Mountaineer, for coming on in. I appreciate it. Vox Quindaro, Rock Chalk Jayhawk, good afternoon from the heart of America. My wife flew right over your grand state, Vox. My wife and an airplane went right over the state of Kansas. Daniel Gygax is in the house. Richard L., Mr. Buffalo back in the house. Movie Time Blues. Jeff Crabcakes in football. Steve It. Sean, it's Greg the Freezer Flugar. Mr. Cornhusker, Skaven, yes, yes. Now, last year I said Nebraska was going to go 8-4. Not 9-3, not 7-5, 8-4. Lock it in. They didn't quite get there. They went 6-6. They made it to a bowl game, and they won their bowl game. This year I've got Nebraska at, we're going to have to find out. You're going to have to wait and find out. But I'm going to tell you something. If that receiving core is as good as the steam out of Lincoln is saying it is, the Cornhuskers, this might be it. This might be, I don't think you're going to challenge for the Big Ten championship, but I think you're going to get to this. I think there's a, where do I have you guys? Oh, I don't quite, I better not say anything more. You've got a shot. The Cornhuskers have got a shot. Jay Chapman is in the house. Richard Brookins is here. Jeff Morgan, what's up, Sickles? Mr. Mountaineer, Big Gun Shop is in the house. Secret Agent, Illini Ted. I've got the Illini. I've got the Fighting Illini knocking on the door. Ready to bust it down. Morris Simmons, hello everyone, Gold Nose. Flugar, I just saw that you don't have your black shirt. That's okay, it's still a little cold in here, so I'm going to wear this. I think we're about another 3 weeks away before I bring out the black shirt on every show. We're about 3 weeks away. Maria Hernandez Garcia Flugar, the moderator, the producer of the show, making sure I am looking beautiful every time I'm in front of the camera. Speaking of clicks, hit the thumbs up button or the thumbs down button if you do not like the content. Kerry Gold knows, great. I know I gave you a lot of flack and I know it's hard to make everybody happy. Keep doing what you're doing. Nice job. Thank you, Kerry Gold. I got no problem with you. I know you don't have any problem with me. We just disagree on some aspects of the world that is going on. There ain't no two people that agree with each other on all things in the PATC family. Everybody in that chat room disagree. It would only take about 4 subjects and you're going to be in disagreement with somebody in the chat room. I just wanted to make sure that people knew that I wasn't getting paid off. I wasn't doing for clicks. And I know the people who are giving me information. I'm not a mouthpiece of some agenda. In other words, I've been doing this for a long time. So I understand, but I get it. I understand. Okay. Kerry Gold knows, thank you so much for your generosity. Once again, you have given us so much support over the last year. It's unbelievable. Thank you, Kerry Gold knows. Nate, go big red, go Huskers. Bob Swanger is in the house. When Greg says I'm going to be straight and honest, yeah. Look, I got to smile more. Mireya says I have to smile more. So I will try to. But someone's got to be a jerk. Somebody at College Football YouTube has got to be a jerk. And I am the guy. I guess. Yep. Justin Butler. Yep. That was the first thing we brought up on our live show today. Florida State announced they're building a hospital on Panama City Beach. And I said, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. And that is something here. We did bring it up. We brought it up. And, I would say this. If you're trying to get Minnesota's vote, and by the way, the University of Minnesota is the one Big Ten university. We were the original. We built this conference. We are the one university that has voted yes to every school that has been added to this conference. The only school in the Big Ten. We said yes to bring on Ohio State. We said yes to bring on Indiana. We said yes to bring on We were in that Michigan State versus Pittsburgh. Minnesota sponsored Michigan State. Michigan sponsored Pittsburgh. And Michigan State just barely won out. We supported Penn State, Nebraska, Oregon, Washington, UCLA, USC. So, all I'm saying, I ain't saying, but all I'm saying, if you're going to try to win Minnesota's vote, this is the stuff. This is the stuff that you do. That is the stuff that you do. That is the stuff that makes you a Big Ten university. That is the stuff that Minnesota is interested in. That in hockey. So, okay, let's get to it. We've got we have got a big show. Let's go through. Again, I want to thank everybody for coming on in. I want to make sure I haven't. Kenneth Maynard, I do apologize. I did not see. Welcome, a member of the Early Peak Cloak and Dagger. You are herely, officially knighted, Kenneth Maynard. Again, I apologize. I did not see that. Thank you, Kenneth. Appreciate it. Appreciate the super chat and becoming a member of the program. We are only going to spend about 2 minutes on this because we spent time on this yesterday. We gave you guys the peak before it really is starting to be a conversation. Ross Dellinger, earlier this morning, could impending Rev Share changes help Cinderellas in the future? Everybody will be in the game. We're just going to take the start of this and the bottom of this article. During the NCAA tournament's opening weekend, 5 power conference teams punch their proverbial tickets to the Sweet 16s with wins over so-called mid-majors. By most accounts, 4 of those 5 power league programs spent more on their rosters than their mid-major opponents, in some cases by as much as $2 million, the outliers UConn, but perhaps soon enough the mid-majors. Now, Ross Dellinger did apologize later today. The Big East should not be considered a mid-major when it comes to basketball. So he used the wrong verbiage on this, but I think you all understand. But perhaps soon enough, the mid-majors will be the ones with the bigger basketball budgets. No, really, it's true. In the Big East, says Duke Athletic Director Nina King, their basketball revenue share portion will be a lot more than those of us can do who have Division I football programs. The spending issue. Now, we've been talking about this, right? If you got a $20.5 million salary cap on your rev share, most Power 4 conference athletic departments are going to spend 17, 16, 15, 14, 13 million of that rev share of the 20.5 million on your football program. Okay? So they're only going to be spending 2, 3 million on their men's basketball program on rev share, because a lot of these Power 4 conference athletic departments are also going to be using rev share on their women's program. Some of them in the SEC and the Big 12 especially are going to be spending some of that rev share on their baseball programs. Some of the Big 10 teams are going to be spending some of that rev share on their volleyball programs. In some Power 4 conferences, athletic departments, mainly the University of Minnesota, has to spend at least a couple of $1 million of that rev share on their men's hockey program, or the athletic director would be run out of town on a train, because that is what is important in Minnesota. So while these Power 4 conferences, athletic departments are spending all this money on other stuff, other Division I athletic departments, when it comes to basketball, are going to be able to spend more of their Rev Share money on basketball. So the opportunity for St. John's to be able to outspend Auburn on men's basketball talent is very, very high until the Power Four conferences change everything up. So this article, if you want to go through it, Ross Dellinger, I will provide a link later on after the show into the description box. The Big East schools next year can pay $6 million or more to the basketball team using the Rev Share. There ain't going to be Power Four conferences, Power Four programs that are going to be able to spend $6 million of their Rev Share money to the men's basketball pro. It's not possible. You got to feed the beast. You got to feed the football program. So anyways, that is a big topic of conversation, and it is not going away. There are other things in that article that talks about Greg Sankey. Says, yeah, this is going to be an issue, right? The SEC does not want to take a step backwards. We want to be able to compete with the Big East schools, to be able to compete to get the top quality basketball players into our program. And then it goes back to the NIL, right? How tight will that Deloitte clearinghouse be? How tight or how loose will it be in approving these NIL deals that are going to be submitted to them? If it's tight, then the Big East basketball programs, they are going to celebrate. And basically they said that. Commissioner Ackerman said that in that article, in other articles. Everyone is looking at how that clearinghouse is going to work. That is the most impactful part of this House versus NCAA settlement if and when it gets approved on April 7th. The Deloitte clearinghouse. The impact on how that thing is executed is going to be enormous. The ripple effects on football and everything. Deloitte. We are in a crazy, crazy world. Until, of course, all this gets exposed in the courts and gets challenged and everything. So anyways, that's all the time I'm going to spend on the Ross Dellinger article. Go check it out. Go check it out. We are going to now hit the Big Ten. We've done the Big 12. Way too early predictions. We've done the SEC. We started with the SEC 2 weeks ago. Last week we did the Big 12. This week we're doing the Big 10. Who do I got number one? Who do I got in the top half of the conference? Who do I got at the bottom half of the conference? First, we're going to go through Tom Fornelli. And I said earlier, my goodness, Tom Fornelli and myself, basically, we agree. I mean, almost on everything. We agree with how the Big Ten football teams stack up against each other as we are sitting here March 28th. Now, we got to go through spring football. Then we're going to go through a portal. And the Gophers have got to lose a bunch of guys because we got too many guys. And the Gophers have to hit pay dirt on one particular unit, which I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, or we are in trouble. But anyways, this is how Fornelli sees it, and then I'm going to tell you how I see it. This is Tom Fornelli over and under the win totals, starting with Illinois. Tom Fornelli has Illinois going 9-3. 9-3. Well over the 7.5 win total. There's plenty of buzz around the Illini. around the Illini as the college football playoff contender, and it makes sense. A team that won 10 games last year returns nearly every starter, including third-year starting quarterback Luke Altmaier. Tom Fornelli is going over at 7.5, 9-3. Indiana, over and under is 8.5. Tom Fornelli has the under, but still has the Indiana Hoosiers going 8-4. The Hoosiers were a major surprise last year, and while they won't collapse in 25, it's hard to hit it that big in the portal for consecutive seasons. So he's got them going a little bit under, but still a good season for Indiana at 8-4. Tom Fornelli, Iowa, the Hawkeyes. He's got Iowa going 5-7. I did not plan on coming in this low on Iowa, but here we are, Tom Fornelli says. It's not just about the quarterback situation. Iowa has been trending in the wrong direction along the lines of scrimmage in recent seasons. When you combine the questions with a schedule that isn't overly friendly, he's going under. He's going way under. He's going 5-7. Maryland, 6-6 for Maryland. I don't believe the Terps were good last year, nor do I think they were as bad as their final record suggested. The schedule is much easier this season, as they won't see the Buckeyes, the Lions, or the Ducks. They also have a very soft non-conference slate. They should be able to get to a bowl game. 6-6 going over at 4.5. Tom Fornelli, CBS Sports, the Maryland Terrapins, Michigan Wolverines. Tom Fornelli, CBS Sports, has got Michigan under the 8.5 win total. 8-4. 8-4. Michigan's got a pretty tough schedule. I mean, Wisconsin, Washington, but Oklahoma, USC, Ohio State, Michigan going 8-4. Last year, I gave Michigan the benefit of the doubt coming off a national title. This year, I'm not. The wins over the Buckeyes and the Crimson Tide to end the season papered over some of this team's significant problems. And all the key players from that title team are gone now. Maybe Bryce Underwood is the prince who was promised right away, but I expect growing pains. He's going under at 8.5. Michigan State Spartans, 5-7. Tom Fornelli's got him going 5-7. A lot depends on the development of Aiden Childs. If he taps into his potential in his second season as the starter, the Spartans could be the 2025 version of Indiana. Wow. If he doesn't, it could be another rough season. Either way, there are too many tough road games on the schedule. Tom Fornelli has got the Spartans going under 5.5. Minnesota, my beloved Golden Gophers. Tom Fornelli has the Gophers 8-4. For those who haven't paid attention, Minnesota has failed to win 7 or more regular season games only twice in the last 6 full seasons. Last year, I made the mistake of going under, but I won't do it again. It's not always fun or exciting to watch, but this program's consistency deserves respect. There's also a nice home schedule. The over-under win total 6.5. Tom Fornelli has got the Gophers going 8-4. And I'll talk about my beloved Gophers in a moment. The Nebraska Cornhuskers. Also, Tom Fornelli's got Nebraska going 8-4. Nebraska is another team that could take a serious leap forward if Dylan Raiola rounds out his game and improves. He has the potential to be the best quarterback in the conference. I absolutely agree, which goes a long way towards winning games. I don't know if he goes that far in 25, but I do think the Huskers take advantage of a schedule without the Buckeyes and the Ducks. Nebraska, over on the win total of 7.5. Northwestern, 4-8. 4-8. Tom Fornelli's got them 4-8 over the 3.5. I think Northwestern will finish the 25 season with a record a lot closer to its 24 season than 23. But even if it doesn't improve, I'll still go over this win total. Starting on the road against Tulane will not be easy, but my gut tells me Preston Stone, the transfer from SMU, will bring consistent competence to the offense that did not exist last season. Ohio State Buckeyes, 11-1. Tom Fornelli has got them 11-1, going the over on 10.5 wins. I'll be honest with you, Tom Fornelli, I expected to go under here. My belief was that the Buckeyes would be like a lot of champions in the modern game, still very good, but struggling to replace key starters in an era where you can no longer hoard depth so easily. Then I did the exercise, and the team wins 11 games anyways. The truth is, it'll all come down whether they can win 2 of the 3 games against the Longhorns, the Nittany Lions, and the Wolverines. He's going over the Buckeyes 11-1. He's also got the Oregon Ducks going over 11-1. I don't know for sure who's going to be the quarterback, but I'm confident the Ducks will be one of the more talented teams in the league. It also helps to avoid Michigan and Ohio State while getting USC at home. The road games against Penn State and Washington will be the big test. He's going over for the Ducks. He's going over on the Ducks, 11-1. Penn State, he's going 11-1. Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, 11-1, 11-1, 11-1. This is one of those spots where if the Nittany Lions don't go over the total, it'll feel like a disappointment. There's been so much put into retaining players on the roster as well as poaching Jim Knowles from Ohio State. There's an all-in feel to this team they need to deliver on. I agree. And I also got them going 11-1. Purdue, 3-9. New coach. Not much to say here. The roster is going to be completely different. 3-9. Purdue. Rutgers, 5-7. Rutgers has finished over its projection each of the last 2 seasons. They have an experienced returning quarterback. All of this makes you think they should go over, but that's not how it worked out. That's not how it all worked out. He's got them going under 5-7. UCLA, again, 5-7. The Bruins. USC, 8-4. Tom Fornelli, USC has finished the regular season with 8 wins or more just twice in the last 6 full seasons. The Trojans have only done it once in Lincoln Riley's 3 seasons in charge, and that was in his first year. This is the simple fact I'm sharing. There's no need to get mad at me about it. I'm taking the over here, but I don't feel good about it at all. So Tom Fornelli is going 8-4 over the 7.5 win total in Vegas, but he doesn't feel good about it. Tom Fornelli, Washington Huskies, 6-6. The hope, and I'm calling him the wild card. Demon, the wild card Williams can take the Huskies to another level after finishing 6-6. But a projection of 7.5 wins feels overly optimistic to me. The Huskies play the Buckeyes and the Ducks, road trip to Michigan, under 7.5. Washington, 6-6, according to Tom Fornelli. And finally, the Wisconsin Badgers, 5-7. It's a make or break season for Luke Fickell. The embattled Badgers coach has gone 12-13 in 2 seasons at Wisconsin and saw the school's 22-year bowl streak end last year. There have been major changes since, but I don't know how impactful they'll be. Also, the schedule is assault and battery. The Badgers will be on the road for games against Bama, Michigan, Oregon. But hey, at least they get the Buckeyes at home, right? Holy smokes. Under 5.5, the Wisconsin Badgers. So what do you think about Tom Fornelli's over and under win totals? Now, I pretty much agreed, and I'm going to show you guys. It won't take us long here. I'm going to show you, I'm going to go quickly over. It's not like in August where we do our official predictions and I do a deep dive into every team. That we're not going to do that here in the spring or early spring. 2025, way too early, Big Ten order to finish prediction. Here we go. Let me have it. Let me know how wrong I got it. But this is how I'm seeing it. Number 1, Penn State. For all the reasons I've talked about since they lost the semifinal game. The talent that they are bringing back, Allen and Singleton and Aller, the defensive players are bringing back. Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator, they took from the Buckeyes. Penn State, the second year for Andy Kotelnicki as the offensive coordinator. Penn State, number 1. Number 2, the Buckeyes. Now, I would love to watch Julian Sayin play, the quarterback of the Buckeyes. Hopefully I see some of him, throwing the ball around on the Big Ten Network during their spring, whatever they're calling it at Ohio State, spring practice. I would love to feel more confident in this. But who else would I put at number 2? Because Oregon, again, Dante Moore, don't even know if he's going to be QB1. I got Oregon Ducks right now slipping into the playoffs. I got them as the 11th seed. I've only got 3 Big Ten teams in the playoffs here in 2025. The Lions, the Buckeyes, and the Ducks. But the team that is knocking on the door, to get to the college football playoffs is the Fighting Illini, Illinois. I could not put USC above Illinois. I could not put Michigan above Illinois. I could not put Iowa above Illinois. No way. I couldn't even put my beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers, who beat Illinois last year. I could not put Minnesota above Illinois. Too much talent returning. Too much momentum. Brett Bielema, Illinois, they're one of those bubble teams that make it to the college football playoffs. So is USC and Michigan. I've got them as bubble teams. Again, I'm having a hard time with Michigan. And I think a lot of people are going to have a hard time figuring out what to do with Michigan. Not just because of Underwood, the true freshman quarterback, who's probably going to play, who's going to do great things, not so good at things. The head coach, there's question marks, a lot of talent, but question marks around Michigan. USC, pretty much the same story. But the quarterback position is a little bit more settled. USC 5, Michigan 6, and my beloved Minnesota Golden Gophers 7. Yep. I've got them 7. let me say this. Let me go through just quickly Minnesota Golden Gopher propaganda. The quarterback, Drake Lindsey, the redshirt freshman, Arkansas Player of the Year, Gatorade Player of the Year 2 years ago in the high school Arkansas. He is looking very, very good. He's got an unbelievable strong arm. 6'5.5". There is a lot of excitement in that program around. Max Brosmere says he's the real deal. And so that is the great news coming out of Minnesota. The not so good news. And Gopher fans, the Minnesota defensive line, the defensive tackles, the interior of that line, we've got three dudes. But 4 to 7, 4 to 8, it's a major, drastic falling off the cliff. Massive gap. The Gophers absolutely need to hit pay dirt in the portal at the defensive tackle position. One and possibly two guys. Because you cannot play in the Big Ten being that thin at an interior defensive line. We've got three really good players who have played a lot of snaps. But beyond that, it is like we have missed. We missed on recruiting. We do not have the depth at the defensive line position, interior line. And so we are in trouble. The Gophers, we got to hit pay dirt. Gopher fans, if you're listening to me, I'm telling you, we've got to hit pay dirt in the portal at the defensive tackle position. And that is a difficult position to get a quality player out of the portal in the spring portal. Defensive tackle, are you kidding me? So we might be in a little bit of trouble. 8, Indiana Hoosiers. Going to have a good season. Now, look, I've got 7, 8, 9, 10 all in one batch. All 8 and 4. 7 and 5, 8 and 4. They're all in the same batch. Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, one batch. Illinois, USC, Michigan, the next batch. Minnesota, Indiana, Washington, Nebraska, the next batch. Mr. Williams, the quarterback of Washington, the Mr. Wild Card of this Big Ten Conference. I think Fernando Mendoza is going to be pretty good for the Hoosiers. I really like them at California. Going to be a really interesting season. Dylan Raiola. Mr. Williams is the wild card. Number 11, Iowa. I've got them slipping and a sliding. We shall see. It's going to be a very tense season at Iowa. I think the end is near for their incredible, successful head coach. And by the way, once Iowa finally turns the page and brings in the next head coach, Big Ten better look out. When Iowa gets some new energy into that great program with that great fan base, look out. But I think they're sliding because of the old coach. I think his days are numbered. Number 12, Rutgers. Number 13, Maryland. Number 14, the Badgers. Another batch. Iowa, Rutgers, Maryland, and Wisconsin. Number 15, Michigan State. 16 UCLA, 17th Northwestern, 18 Purdue. There it is. There is the top 18 order of finish prediction. Now, there's a couple things that I'm looking for in the spring. One is Aiden Child's development at East Lansing. I want to see him play. I hope their practice is on the Big Ten Network. I want to see him out there. Joe Rossi, second year as the defensive coordinator. I might bump Michigan State up. I don't think I have any possibility of bumping up UCLA, Northwestern, or Purdue. Michigan State is one of those teams I might bump way up. Wisconsin, I think they're pretty much dead in the water this year. Their schedule is ridiculous. Maryland, I don't think they have a chance of moving up. Rutgers, I don't think they have a chance of moving up. Iowa, Gronowski, the quarterback, I want to see him play. But other than that, they're pretty well set for the spring. And I want to hear your comments. Let me know how wrong I got it again here in 2024. Let me get to a super chat, and then we're going to go and talk about North Carolina in Virginia. Ryan Willie, I'm sorry, Florida State fans and podcasters, but just because you want Florida State to join the Big Ten doesn't mean Florida would join the Big Ten. Thank you, Ryan Willie, for the super chat. I do appreciate your generosity so much once again. I do not know, the Seminole fans in the chat room, let me know, does the majority of Seminole fans want to join the Big Ten, or does the majority of the fans want to join the SEC? Or anybody can answer that question in the chat room. Is the majority of Seminole fans want to join the SEC or the Big Ten? Now, I understand, the SEC they played a part in screwing the Seminoles. I get the anger at ESPN, but I'm wondering if some of that has gone away. And is it split? Is it like 50-50? Or is the majority want the Big Ten? Let me know in the chat room. And I understand, Ryan Willie's, I get it and everything. I believe, I trust that War Chant really believes that the Big Ten are instigating expansion talks with Florida State. I'm sure their sources are serious people, and they are reporting what they believe, and they may be absolutely 100% correct. I just happen to have different information. I think the people on War Chant, I think most people would be excited either way, but I'm interested to hear. James Davis is 50-50. Carey says 50-50. Nitwit is not happy with me taking Penn State number 1. I do believe Jansen Roberts. I do believe, we'll get into it here in a moment. I do believe the edge that is the chalk that the SEC will eat first. That's the favorite. I don't believe anything has changed on that. Don't worry, Greg. A couple of freshmen will step up to strengthen the Minnesota defense. Boy, it is. I mean, I hope you're right, but that doesn't happen. Not in Minnesota, and usually at most places. Stepping in as a freshman on the defensive line. I don't know. Steven, I think we need to pull off a miracle and grab a defensive lineman, interior lineman in the portal. Ryan Willie, my heart says the Badgers will finish 6-6. My brain says 3-9. Fickle and McIntosh get fired. Well, according to Tom Fornelli, it's make or break season for the head coach, even though they did that extension. But that's an automatic extension. So maybe it is make or break for Fickle. Maybe, but what that schedule is so brutal. If Wisconsin goes 6-6, Luke Fickle should get another year. Because that schedule is ridiculous. Deadeye, War Chant is split 50-50. Thank you, Deadeye. Appreciate it. Okay, I want to make sure I got everybody here. Okay. The title screen of this live show, North Carolina, Virginia joined at the hip. We've had a lot of discussions about North Carolina. June 15th of 2024, we did a live show saying that Petiti and Sankey have left the Holy Smokes Theater. And North Carolina in Virginia, that Petiti and Sankey had North Carolina as the number one target. Florida State and Clemson were not the number one targets. And then about 6 weeks later, Brett McMurphy put out a big article basically repeating everything that we had been reporting for 6 weeks. That Florida State was going to have to improve on their relationships. That they were going to have to be more of a trusted partner. And I think they're working on that. And that the SEC would be looking at North Carolina. And we have said over the months, sometimes I say North Carolina, Virginia. Sometimes I call it North Carolina +1. Sometimes I call it North Carolina in whatever needs to happen for North Carolina to join the SEC or to join the Big Ten. I have not been consistent because I didn't think I could be consistent until today, until last night. I was told something, and I'm not even going to be able to say what pot of information this came from. But I took that information and I tried to confirm it with others. And they confirmed it dead straight. So I feel after, I'm going to say, many hours of conversation with trusted people that has helped me break stories over the last decade. I am here to report that North Carolina, remember the latest update in the Holy Smokes Theater We had North Carolina at the center of the stage. Virginia has now stepped onto the stage, and they are right next to North Carolina. We have reasons to believe, without a shadow of a doubt, this is why we're going to be clear and strong with this, that Virginia is joined at the hip with North Carolina. Now, if I turn out to be incorrect, you guys know I'm going to take the big L on this. But the reason why I cannot go through it all with you, at least not today. But we always do a post-mortem on all this stuff. I gave you the post-mortem on the Colorado meeting in Chicago on May 7th with Brett Yormark. At the time, I called it a hot bubble of action. On May 8th, I said the Pac-12 got a shot to the solar plexus. Eventually, I was able to talk about that May 7th after Pete Thamel talked about it in public in an article. I think it was early June of 23. So I will be able to give more information as time goes on. But the North Carolina, Virginia being joined at the hip, the final conclusion that put college football's peek around the corner to be able to say, we believe this is the case. The information came out of North Carolina. It was explained to us, then explained to somebody else, that if okay, so yeah, we've had people in the chat room, not just today, but over the last months, over the last 2 years, talk about Virginia, North Carolina. They're the oldest rivalry in the South. They have played the most games against each other in the ACC. They are sister institutions. But I was told in a lot of detail, and I'm only going to be able to give you broad brushes on this right now. But there is an attachment, not only when it comes to being the longest rivalry in football. There is this attachment not only because of the programs that they share, academic programs, going off international trips together, faculties, kumbaya stuff, not only athletics, academics, and all that stuff. There is a deeper connection when it comes to North Carolina and Virginia, when it comes to the world of conference affiliation. This had to be explained to me. Me being the fat guy from Minnesota, I guess I did not really acknowledge the reality until last night. This was explained to me. North Carolina, Virginia, obviously they have ran most of the ACC to the detriment, some would say, of the ACC, but they've had the controlling power. They've had the controlling power within the ACC, Tobacco Road. And through all these years, when it came to conference affiliation, now I've talked about it. I said, in 2010, 2011, when Maryland was talking to the Big Ten, North Carolina and Virginia, they called the Big Ten. They talked with each other. The Big Ten would love to have North Carolina and Virginia join the conference. That was the Big Ten's top targets. It wasn't Maryland and Rutgers, but North Carolina declined. Virginia declined. They declined together. When it came to how many ACC conference games scheduling, they both agreed they wanted only 8 conference games at the time. They've agreed a lot of the times together. What was told to me was every time there is discussions around the future of North Carolina, they first talked with Virginia. They have made agreements with each other. They both said no to the Big Ten, agreeing that someday later they would take it up. They would take this up together again. The questions, the decisions, the gathering of information around possible different conference affiliation. They've done this together, and they've made this decision that they will do it in the future together. In other words, both of them are not saying we should expand. They're always incommunicado. They're absolutely joined at the hip, with the acknowledgement that together they may go a different direction, but together. Like they owe each other. Now, my response to this was they did not go with each other when it came to voting on expansion in the ACC. They did not go with each other when they voted to sue Florida State and Clemson. So they haven't always gone with each other. It was explained to me, and there's a couple things, or one major thing I'm not going to be able to explain today, but it was explained to me that Virginia, number one, was not in any position to do anything else, but they had to do what they did. There was they had no space, and it was multiple reasons. Their connections with Virginia Tech, the president being the co-chairman. There was a bunch of political reasons why Virginia could not even think about doing anything but what they did. But they have made promises to each other that they would push this possibility aside, look for something else in the future together. They have their own, they're not just together on athletics, over 100-year history, on academics, something on research and international programs and faculty people knowing each other, but they have been with each other on the question of conference affiliation, even though they both have been decades long standing in the ACC conference together. But every single time the conference affiliation question rolls where they've had to gather information and make a decision, they've done it together, not separate. So the last time that they were approached, they conferred with each other. North Carolina conferred with Virginia, not anybody else. The Big Ten went after North Carolina and Virginia first, and they both made the decision, as was told to me, no, but the next time there is an opportunity, we have to look at something, they're going to do it together. It was a promise, a commitment made between the two sister universities. So when it comes to the question of conference affiliation this next time around, the people that I talk to say there really is not a debate. It's North Carolina and Virginia together. The value that the SEC and the Big Ten will put on North Carolina will be a North Carolina-Virginia combo. Be it worse, be it better, whatever, they are together. It's just the way it's going to be. So, now that I finally have gotten that, people have gotten that through my thick skull, starting today on March 26th, I'm no longer going to say North Carolina is the biggest domino. We got to see how that piece falls. I am going to cement the two together. North Carolina and Virginia. When Pete Thamel reports that North Carolina and Virginia are the number one targets, I'm starting to understand finally that Virginia is joined at the hip. When Brett McMurphy reported that, when Heather Dinich reported that, when Dennis Dodd reported that, when all of them have reported that, when people told me before the Brett McMurphy article came out, 6 weeks before it came out, when we did that live show on June 15th, when they told me it's North Carolina and Virginia, Greg, that piece has to fall. Florida State and Clemson, they've got to wait till the North Carolina-Virginia piece. It is Virginia with North Carolina. It's not going to be a North Carolina State. It's not going to be a North Carolina Duke. Now, maybe in some sort of other combination, if you throw a Florida State in there, if you throw a Clemson in there, if you got 4 teams going to the SEC, 4 teams going to the Big Ten, then a Duke and a North Carolina State can move with North Carolina. But if it's just North Carolina plus 1, we strongly believe, and again, you'll be able to come after us. I would take the L, but we strongly believe that it's going to be North Carolina and Virginia joined at the hip. And I have never said that before. I've often said that Virginia is the chalk. It's probably going to be Virginia, but maybe it's going to be North Carolina and Duke, North Carolina, Miami, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Florida State to the SEC, It's going to be North Carolina in Virginia. Or North Carolina, Virginia, plus somebody. All 4 together. But today on March 26th, I got no problem saying North Carolina and Virginia are joined. And so use that or completely disagree. I'm fine with that. I did not know the level of agreements that Virginia and North Carolina have made to each other when it comes to future stuff. I did not know that. So, anyways, there it is. We've done a lot. This has been a long monologue. We're going to get to your super chats, your comments, and we're going to open up the phone calls. We're going to leave the phone calls open a little bit longer because it's taken us so long to get there. I told you all this was an absolutely stacked show. I had to go through it all because tomorrow's just going to bring on more stuff, guys. There's a lot of stuff percolating. We've got another possible. I got more nuggets going. There's stuff going on, guys. So we have to get through all this. Tomorrow's probably going to be another big show. Buckle up, brace for impact again. Please, if you haven't done it, subscribe to our channel, smash that like button. I appreciate it. Kerry Gold knows. My brother played basketball at UVA. They have a pretty damn good basketball program. And they have an up-and-coming football program. They also have one of the best men's soccer team in the nation. Can't say that about UNC. Well, just like most programs, right? They have their pros and their cons. The UVA football brand is pretty low. I mean, let's be if the SEC of the Big Ten are picking up Virginia, if they offer an invitation, it ain't going to be about their football brand. It's going to be about all these other things that are important. Virginia does have, they sponsor a lot of sports, right? They've had a really good basketball program lately, not so much this year, but lately in the last 10 years, really good basketball program. But, you know, when it comes to the value of the football brand, they're miles and miles away from your Seminoles, Clemson. Thank you so much for the super chat, Kerry Golnose. I do appreciate it so very much. So very much. Let's get to your phone calls here. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Let me know how wrong I got it with my way too early Big Ten predictions. Let me know. Now remember, these are not my official predictions. I'm just putting that out. I'm putting my thoughts out there for you all to see.
From
Let me know.
I'm sorry, I did not get the name.
Rick?
Rick, I appreciate it. It was kind of fuzzy. I apologize. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, let's talk about like a week ago. North Carolina was, in your opinion, leaning toward the SEC, correct?
I would say internally, without seeing the offers of the Big Ten and the SEC internally, there's a lot of advantages of UNC to the SEC. I think SEC holds advantages over the Big Ten. But of course, I've also said I haven't shut the door on the possibility of North Carolina going to the Big Ten because the Big Ten does want North Carolina. So,
right.
But edge to the SEC, no question about it, in my opinion.
Would you have called it a week ago like a 60-40 for the SEC?
I would go 75-25.
Okay, so my question is today, has that changed?
No.
Either way,
No.
with the addition of Virginia?
No, not in my, no.
Still
Look, again, one of these things that you guys can, you can make a clip of this live show and send it to me if it turns out not to be true. But I strongly believe that North Carolina and Virginia will not be ACC members in the year 2032, 2033. They're going to be somewhere else together, either in the SEC or the Big Ten. And I think SEC has the advantage for multiple reasons right now.
Then, with that understanding, who in the ACC has an advantage toward the Big Ten?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Given the fact that UNC and Virginia are a good lean to the SEC, and they are going to be the two schools that go first.
Mm-hmm.
We agree on that.
I think so.
Who would be the biggest lean to the Big Ten?
Of all the ACC schools, I would have the biggest lean to the Big Ten, Miami. But you know, again, if okay, we're gonna war game this out a little bit, okay, Rick? We're pretending here, everybody. We are pretending. North Carolina, Virginia goes to the SEC. If that happens, the question is, in my mind, is Florida State and Clemson a part of that acquisition. And I am definitely not shutting the door on that possibility. Okay? I think that is like that is going to be they very well could be all in that one swath. Now, that would be a little bit out of the SEC's wheelhouse. I mean, for them to expand with 4 teams would be a little bit at once. But I think that, that is no way am I going to ever shut the door on that possibility, because there could be that happening. So I just want to make that clear. Like, North Carolina, Virginia goes first, or North Carolina, Virginia with Florida State and Clemson to the SEC goes first. If it's just North Carolina and Virginia, okay, and we talked about this before, and you asked me who is the lean for the ACC schools, I would say Miami. However, again, going back to our domino tree or whatever, our domino map, if it's just North Carolina and Virginia to the SEC first, then we got to measure the impact. We got to know the impact on Notre Dame. What is their perception? What is that communication with the Big Ten? If they're still not ready to make the move, if they're committed to independence beyond 2030, no matter what happens, then that opens up way more possibilities, way more variables with Florida State, Clemson, Miami, Duke, Georgia Tech. I hope I haven't confused everybody, but there's a lot of it's a lot more simple dominoes if it's North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, Clemson to the SEC. Then we're looking at a Miami +1 to the Big Ten, possibly Notre Dame. But if Florida State and Clemson are not taken by the SEC with North Carolina, Virginia, now we're looking at a whole bunch of different variables, possibilities, because now you're looking at blends. Now you're looking at a Florida State Miami possibility to the Big Ten. You're looking at a lot of things. That's why it's hard for me to speculate, because then we go into all these unbelievable number of variables. The top one, though, and Rick, I'm convinced, and I'll let you have the floor here. The top domino to me is North Carolina. From everything been told, North Carolina, Virginia, and then we'll see what happens.
Wow, that really explains a lot, and that's very helpful. The only other thing and I'll get off real quick, was I was doing some research on what we had spoken about yesterday with the Rev Share and the corporation that they're going to be creating in order to regulate abuses and tampering.
Yeah.
Off of the Yahoo article from about a month ago.
Okay.
And then Deloitte is only going to be used to determine fair market nil value for schools for players outside of the school. That's the way the article presented it. In other words, Deloitte will not be involved if the student reaches a nil deal with the school.
Well, that's interesting, a little bit confusing, because I was under the impression that even those deals made with your name, image, and likeness in-house still going to have to go through that clearinghouse. But there's going to be better chances of that to clear, because there's going to be more control. Okay, You said this is a Yahoo article about a month ago?
Yeah, I think I might have it here. Hang on.
Okay. Well, maybe
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
It was a Dellinger
Okay.
monumental shift, power conferences, not NCAA, to control policing athlete compensation. February 6th, Ross Dellinger.
February 6th. Okay. I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Great call once again. Rick, legendary caller. Yeah, maybe I got it wrong. I thought all NIL deals, and it was if it's in-house, you have your in-house collective sort of be the agent between you and whatever outside business is trying to get this NIL deal. You got more control, a better chance of getting it passed through the clearinghouse. But if you go to the outside, now if a player opts out of the House versus NCAA and doesn't sell the name, image, and likeness rights to the athletic department, then they go with an outside collective. But yeah, I could be all wrong.
Call from
Steel Austin.
Steel Austin, the floor is yours. Let it rip. Thanks for calling, sir.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Hey, just had a quick question. I'll be a little brief today. I just was curious, have your sources given you any indication about the SEC's interest in Miami? Because I know we continue to talk like Miami is like a foregone conclusion to be a Big Ten school. But I'm just curious, in the scenario that we're talking about with North Carolina, Virginia, and then FSU and maybe Clemson, the four going to the SEC at once, I'm just wondering if the better play for the SEC in that scenario is taking FSU in Miami and completely locking down the state of Florida versus South Carolina, where they already have that footprint. But just was curious if you've heard if Miami's a non-starter to the SEC or not.
I wouldn't put it as a non-starter. I think other people would. I wouldn't. But boy, I think they fit with the Big Ten so much better. And I don't think the SEC is looking at having 3 schools in the state of Florida, even though they're big markets and separate markets. And I again, the SEC, I look at the SEC obviously different than a lot of. I think they're looking at increasing their footprint, but yet keeping it basically a one region conference. All the things we've talked about, the student apocalypse. But I just wonder. So I think they're going. I've got Mr. Steelos. I've got serious people telling me since last summer that the SEC is absolutely targeting North Carolina, Virginia when they become available. But my question is, and it's the same question that a lot of people have that I talk to, if the SEC goes towards this plan that they have been telling everybody, and I mean all the reporters at all the leaks, all the reporting, if they go forward with this plan of North Carolina, Virginia, my question is, and no one can answer it, and I don't blame anybody that they can't answer it, does it require, is it required that they bring in these 2 monster football brands, Clemson and Florida State, as a blend to bring in North Carolina, Virginia, that aren't going to bring you in the extra football? You know what I'm saying? That
makes total sense.
Yeah. So so when I bring this up, the answer is, yeah, that could happen. Like, it could be a Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia blend, because that might have to happen to keep ESPN completely happy and everything. So, Miami, I don't think they are part of the SEC plan or backup plan or anything like that. And again, I think the Big Ten is looking at them seriously. Again, Miami, again, is sort of in the same position as Florida State and Clemson are. It kind of depends on that first domino, right? And then we'll see. But hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that does. And then I guess this is a quick follow-up to that. Have, like, your sources like BTM and them, have they said that if Miami becomes available, that they're a top target for the Big Ten? The reason why I ask that is just you then have the same problem that you've got with taking the California schools. They're down. Miami's down there on an island, and now you got to figure out a travel partner, and maybe taking a school you weren't necessarily wanting to take, but you're going to take. I just wonder, could you see the Big Ten passing on Miami, or are they absolutely, if they can get Miami, they're going down to Florida?
Well, I'll keep going. I know this is boring because I keep going back to the same thing. It all depends on the reaction of Notre Dame when that thread is pulled, when North Carolina and Virginia leave the conference, either to the Big Ten or the SEC. It depends on the impact of what does Notre Dame say next. So
that makes,
what I'm saying. And then if Notre Dame says we're committed to independence, then the Big Ten will take a look at Miami. Miami, Georgia Tech, Miami, Duke, those combinations. Or if Notre Dame says, yeah, we'll go in and the Big Ten says we'll bring in Miami, okay, then that happens. If Notre Dame says we call the shots on that, all these variables come into play. But I would say, overall, I would say Miami is a Big Ten target, a Big Ten candidate, and that's the best I can do right now.
That's perfect. No, thanks so much, Greg. I'll let you get to some other callers. But
you got it. Appreciate it. Great call. Great call, Mr. Austin. Rock and rant. Revenue sharing and NIL are not directly linked as I think you're thinking. They're not linked. I agree. They're not linked. Revenue sharing is the Rev Share, $20.5 million. The NIL is completely not, is a different bucket. But is it, and we don't know how big that bucket can be for a program. That's the question. We don't know if Deloitte's clearinghouse is going to be run tightly or loosely. Whatever tools that they're using, whatever algorithm, whatever AI, whatever they're using there at Deloitte to figure out the value, the market value of a particular player in a particular region with this type of name, image, and likeness deal with this particular business. We don't know if they're going to be approving these stamping these approvals, or if it's going to be tight. And depending on how Deloitte is run, is going to be impactful on how much NIL money there is going to be until the courts come in and this gets overturned and challenged. But I'm just going to deal with what reality is now. And, but yeah, so the question was NIL internally, NIL, because there's going to be athletic departments that have got their collective internally now, run by the athletic department. There are still going to be some outside collectives that are not going to be inside the house of the athletic departments. So I think, and I might end up being wrong on this, but I think any name, image, and likeness deal that is over $600 has to be submitted to the clearinghouse. And I believe the athletic departments, the general managers, believe if it's submitted from their own house, that there might be a better chance. They got more control. They're not going to be caught doing something nefarious. If it's inside the house, it's got a better, they got a connection with, the University of Missouri's got a connection with some big corporation in Missouri, and their NIL deals are going through this corporation. This corporation is going to use this name, image, and likeness in a business sense. It's not going to be pay for play, supposedly. I think they're thinking that these deals are going to be more easily passed through the Deloitte clearinghouse than if they're done a collective outside of the athletic department. Again, don't know what the future holds. I mean, how tight this thing is run at the clearinghouse level is going to be so incredibly impactful. Coos Corner is in the house. Congratulations on the new basketball coach from North Texas, Ross Hodge. Boss Hodge is in the house. Boss Hodge is in the house. Flagships in elite institutions. Yeah, look, I agree. One travel partner from Miami doesn't really solve the issue. I don't think it ultimately matters. I agree. I mean, if you are in the Big Ten, if you are in a national conference, you are going to travel. That is one of the cons or one of the pros, whatever you want to look at it.
From
Crab cakes and football.
Crab cakes and football. Mr. Terrapin, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, my friend. Appreciate it.
Hey, how you doing today, Greg?
I'm doing good. Are you mad at me for my Maryland prediction of coming in 13th place in my way too early prediction?
You have us too high. We should be closer to 16.
Well,
I'm serious, man. I've lost all hope in Mike Loxley. I have. Although he is starting to use a little bit different language in his press conference now.
Okay.
It's no longer the best is ahead. It's now the best is now. And it's no longer about relationships because it's now NIL.
Yeah.
You can buy this, that, and the other. But I just don't have any trust in him when it comes to the coach. We need to do something like Indiana did. I don't know who, but at some point we got to make that change.
Yeah, Michael Loxley has been there for quite a long time, hasn't he?
And he has. And we just haven't – we beat the people we were supposed to beat, and then we would give like a good game to an Ohio State or a Michigan or whatever, but never get over that hump. But now we've even backed off of getting good games to these teams. Now we're starting to lose. So it's like his good, great – I mean, we got the number 2 guy overall on 247 coming in, at least right now is committed to us. But, I mean, let's just see how this year pans out. Maybe there's a shocker.
Let me ask you a question. What was the story on Billy Edwards? Because to me, now this is just from an outside perspective, okay? This guy was given the rock. He was given the ball. He was given the leadership. He was given the reins when a lot of us didn't know he was going to get that, but he was given that. And he had his ups, he had his downs. His ups were pretty high, his downs were pretty low. But I did not see, from an outsider, I was shocked. I was shocked that he went into the portal and ended up at Wisconsin. To me, that is like, okay, what happened between him and head coach Loxley? Because he was given keys to the car. Was it a money deal? What was it?
Loxley's own words, he lost the team last year. For the first time, he lost the locker room. So he felt like he didn't have a relationship with players.
Oh.
And that it was all. And if you go back in YouTube and look at his press conference he held yesterday, I think it was, he admits that he lost the locker room last year for the first time. So he felt, so that is the first tell. Now with this new he has to deal with the NIL era and all of this money. I forget what you call it, but you know, the where you get it from, the thing, yeah, whatever that word. And he lost the locker room. He actually admitted that in the thing, and so now he's trying a new approach this year. He's like, long relationships are no longer. We're doing it year to year. You come in, you're my new defensive end, you're my new quarterback. You're not, yeah, if I can keep you, great. We can build up a relationship, but he's almost expecting to lose half of his team every time someone comes. They play Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama. Somebody likes these players. They come and they stack them up. And so now he's starting to change his logic. And maybe it might be for the better. Maybe I might look like an idiot here in a couple of months. But he admitted that he lost the locker room.
Okay, I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you listen to his press conference, I think it was yesterday, it's a couple minutes in when you get to the questions with the reporters, he said for the first time in his 33 years of coaching, he lost the locker room. So, and he had a lot to say about that. But, yeah, I should have seen, now going back to what we're going to originally say, I should have known, being a Maryland fan, that UVA and UNC were joined at the hip. Because I've always known that from my days in the ACC, that there was a real tight relationship between them two schools. And Maryland was supposed to be the third leg of that. Mm-hmm. But when we broke off and did our own thing, we kind of ticked everybody off, but we had to do what we had to do. But UNC and UVA stayed tight. And then so that's when they were first offered and they said no. They thought Maryland was going to say no.
Yeah.
But when we said yes, that severed some relationships.
Yes, it did.
UVA's finally come around and started playing us. And there's a couple other times that we played UNC, like in basketball a couple years ago. And Duke is still mad at us. But so I should have seen the tightness of their relationship. I didn't know how that it was so weaving into literally every fabric and being of their.
When they discuss conference affiliation, it's those two together. They've got a long history of it, and supposedly they got commitments with each other, which I did not know about. It was drilled into my brain last night. So we made the change today. We've got North Carolina and Virginia at the center of the stage. We believe they're joined at the hip. And again, if it's wrong, you guys know that I will be in front of the camera, and you guys can let me have it. So, but I gotta give you the information that's been told to me by very serious people. That's what the show is all about.
Right, and from my understanding, without any true inside knowledge with UVA, they really do like the Big Ten. They just weren't ready, and UNC likes the SEC. So there might be a tug of war there between them two to figure out who goes with who. But I mean, my guess is they're both go to the SEC. But but I do know that at least UVA has a little bit of attraction to the Big Ten. Yeah. But the other thing that I was going to mention, now we're only in year one of pretty much of this NIL, profit sharing, everything else. In basketball, they're already barking that NIL has ruined the sport. No Cinderellas made it to the big game. But then you turn around and go to the football side, and they're trying to shut everybody out and only keep it amongst the big teams. So they really got a conundrum going on here with this NIL thing. One side, they're complaining the opposite of what the football is complaining on or what they want to do on their side.
Yeah, I mean,
does that make sense?
Again, this basketball season, it's the first time since the 64 version that there's only Power 4 conferences in the Sweet 16. And I think it's like what Jay Billis says. I rarely agree with Jay Billis, but I agree with him on this one. It's only one data point. It's only 1 year. And again, we're going into next year with the strong possibility that these schools outside of the Power 4 conferences, the ones that can opt in, like the Big East schools, are going to be able to spend more money on Rev Share towards their basketball talent than the teams in the Power 4. So it might bounce a little bit going the other way. But again, NIL, depending on how that is done with the clearinghouse, if it's wide open, I mean, if that thing is run loosely, if everything basically gets passed through the clearinghouse, then you're going to have that big advantage go back to the Power Conference schools because they're going to be able to get the bigger NIL deals. So, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Well, that's all I had.
You got it, buddy.
But, I'll send you an X. Or probably I won't be able to do it like in private message.
Yep.
But I'll send you the YouTube video of Mike Loxley, what he said yesterday, and let you read it for yourself.
I would love it.
Or
Thank you,
listen to it
sir.
for you.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Daryl Harlow, thank you for becoming an early peak Cloak and Dagger member. Holy smokes. Thank you for your generosity. I very much appreciate it. You are officially knighted Cloak and Dagger. Welcome to becoming a member, part of the family. You can go to our library, video library, and go check out early peak Cloak and Dagger episodes, members only. Of course, we've also produced 427 episodes that anybody can watch. We just released one a couple days ago. Thank you so much, Daryl Harlow, for your generosity becoming a member of our channel. I do want to thank everybody for joining us here. I really appreciate it. On a Wednesday, March 26th, Kerry Gold knows, from what I'm hearing, Florida State will have an AAU status by 27. That will bode well in both conferences. It could happen. Again, AAU, they're a private organization, private club. They decide when they invite new members in. They're the ones who vote on it, and we never truly know the next time schools have an invitation given to them. I mean, what was it? It was last year or 2 years ago that there were 6 of them. 6 different institutions became AAU members. And usually it's only like 1 or 2 every couple of years, maybe every 5, 10 years, and suddenly there were 6 of them. But I got to tell you, Florida State has done, their research dollars keep going up and up and up. And the moves that they're doing with hospitals here, building one and potentially buying one, or getting in more of a, they have a relationship with the Tallahassee Medical Hospital, TMH, but they want a bigger piece of that. Not just having a relationship with them, not just bringing their students over and having, programs. They want to be the buyers of that hospital. There is a lot of things going on at Florida State. And of course, we said they would not stop. They would not quit. They're going to be able to they're going to get there. It's just a question of how. And I still, we shall see. How about that? We shall see. Thank you, Kerry Gold Knowles, for your super chat. I appreciate your generosity once again. Today's show was, we were absolutely stacked. We did our Big Ten's way too early predictions. We went through Tom Fernelli win totals on the Big Ten. We talked about the Rev Share situation with basketball when it comes to the Power 4 conferences. We went through a little bit of the Ross Dellinger article, and then we talked about North Carolina and Virginia joined at the hip. We gave you the latest information. The update in the Holy Smokes Theater. Virginia is standing right next to North Carolina. Florida State remains along with Clemson, Miami, Duke, Georgia Tech in the front row, with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the shadows at the very edge of the stage where the light doesn't really hit them. Notre Dame. But it's North Carolina and Virginia joined at the hip. That's how we see it here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to make that very clear going forward. Not just today, not just tomorrow, next month, the month after that. So that's how we are going to talk about North Carolina. North Carolina and Virginia joined at the hip. I want to thank everybody who has joined us. The donations to help us keep the lights on. Expedition Greg, Bill G, Mick Stevens, Kenneth Maynor, Leslie A. Hill, Carrie Gold Nose, Ryan Willie, and Daryl Harlow, and Stormy Cyclone. Thank you so much. I just saw that. Been missing your shows lately. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Mr. Cyclone. I appreciate you, Super Chat, your incredible generosity. We're going to be signing off here, but go check out our live. You can go watch it, rewatch it, and share the video with your family and friends. And before you leave, please make sure you are subscribed and have those notifications turned on, because we come on live at any time during the day and night. You got to keep your head on a swivel. If you are a PATC family member, you've got to keep your head on a swivel. If there's breaking news, we're coming on and you're coming in, and we're going to talk about it. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.